Although the Tiger did have a number of faults in its design, it would be an exaggeration to say it was cursed by those aspects alone. However, this does not mean that there are no variations to the vehicle which fit into this series. In today's episode, we will be looking at one of those early features which never saw combat, known as Vorpanzer. The word Vorpanzer translates roughly to forearmor or front armor and can be seen on several different German tanks during the war. These include both the Panzer III and Panzer IV, which each received additional spaced armor on the front. I'll be covering these in more detail in a future video on spaced armor, but I bring them up here to show that this was not a concept specific to today's topic. As for its introduction to the Tiger, this can be traced to May of 1941. The German Armor Design Office gave a contract to Henschel to redesign the VK4501H in order to give it the ability to mount a turret with an 88mm cannon, but also additional armor to protect the drive sprockets and tracks as a sort of armored skirt. This protective plate would be retractable, allowing it to drop into place for combat and then be stowed for transport or when moving off-road. As a plate of this size would be quite heavy to lift by hand, it was fitted with hydraulics to allow it to move easily up and down. Also included in this added armor were solid plates above the tracks, which look very similar to the later fenders the final vehicle would receive. However, we can see clearly in the few photos of the prototype with the Vorpanzer system that these were fixed plates which were part of the midplate. Although I could not seem to find information on the thickness of the added armor, it seems safe to assume the fixed portion would have been the same 60mm as the mid-plate. This would have simplified the production of these plates and removed extra mounting points or welding. Estimating off of this, the retractable portion appears to be roughly half this thickness, so my best guess is somewhere between 25 to 40mm thick on the edges. These were then bolted to another plate in the center, which may be slightly thicker, but it is very hard to tell from the photos. If you happen to know of information about the thickness, please let me know in the comments. Although some early production Tigers do still bear some features related to the Vorpanzer mounting, only 2 hulls were ever fully equipped with it. These were the first prototype Tiger and one of the armor test hulls, which was used for firing trials. The photos of the test hull give us a better view of how this armor was mounted, as well as the cutaway portion of the midplate, which allowed the hydraulic arms to fold and unfold the skirt. Despite this concept seemingly offering superior protection to a traditionally armored tank, especially for the tracks, it came with its own set of issues. For one, it added weight, which is rarely a good thing for any vehicle. It also would have added more complexity to the production process, as these plates would need to be manufactured and the mounting holes and hydraulics for the system would need to be added. When looking at the hull, which was subjected to firing trials, we can also see that the Vorpanzer is missing from the hull after it was shot at. We can still see the hydraulic arms hanging, so it seems likely that the plate was either blown off while testing or was removed for some other reason. However, if it was able to be easily shot off, this could have been seen as problematic, since this could potentially impede the Tiger's movement. Not to mention, an additional armor plate does little to protect the front of the vehicle if it can't stand up to repeated impacts. Regardless of the reason for the removal, the idea of Vorpanzer on the Tiger I was canned in April of 1942, right as Tiger production was starting. As I mentioned earlier, some early Tigers do bear some hints of it, although this seems to be limited to a flat edge shown here, which was to act as a stop for the arm. In later Tigers, this was eliminated, with it being a rounded edge instead. With the Tiger being such a famous vehicle, the Vorpanzer armor does seem to be a largely overlooked piece of its history, and something I only stumbled across recently while working on a different video. I wouldn't go as far as to say this has been forgotten, since most in-depth histories of the vehicle mention it, but it certainly isn't as well known as other aspects of the tank. So, had you ever heard of this before my video? Let me know in the comments, and if you have anything to add, please feel free to leave that there as well. Thank you for watching, and thanks to my YouTube members for supporting my content. Not only will being a member allow you access to extra perks, but it also helps me lower the number of sponsors I need to accept to keep my financial needs met. YouTube has also given me the ability to activate what they call super thanks on my channel, which allows you guys to tip my videos if you enjoy them. This not only really helps me out, but also lets you leave a comment with a distinct color to make it stand out. I try to read all the comments you guys leave, but if you want to be certain that I see yours, you could use that if you enjoyed the video and think I earned it. Enough e-begging though. Thanks once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.